Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Stoney Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. Today we have a fun opportunity. You can see here with me, I have Heidi Villegas, who is a homesteader and a clinical herbalist. And we are going to talk today a little bit about herbs and some medicinal herbs that we can grow in our garden. And in particular, we're going to cover two different herbs that we can grow in our gardens that have some really good medical benefits to us. And this is all kind of part of Heidi's exciting, fun week that she has going on right now. She is in the middle of the launch of her Ditch the Drugstore course. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But we're going to go through and talk a little bit about growing a couple of herbs that are going to be very helpful for you in your garden. So Heidi, welcome. Good to have you here.
Hi, good to be here.
Let's go ahead. I want to talk just a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll kind of tackle those herbs. So first off, tell me about your herbal journey a little bit. Give me how you learned about this, how long you've been practicing.
Okay.
Go ahead and give us a little roundup there.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say I'm an old granny. I'm nearing 60 years old right now. And my herbal journey started when I was about 40, maybe my late 30s. And I had a lot of health issues, a lot of health problems going on, like tons. And the doctors were giving me prescriptions, and then the prescriptions were giving me side effects and um, all kinds of things. And finally, one day, I actually had a doctor laugh at me when I asked about, hey, can we try some lifestyle changes, And I was always pretty healthy, but I was thinking, well, if I could just tweak, the weight a little bit or something. Well, he laughed in my face. And at that point, I felt so sick. I couldn't even walk out of my school building at the end of the day. I was a school teacher for decades, and I had to take off my shoes to walk out to my car. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done with this. And I had happened across an herbal book in a feed store, and had made a few tinctures at that point, and they worked. They worked better than the over-the-counter drugs that I was trying to figure out how to get off, and I was hooked. And so I started learning herbalism from the plants, using the whole plants that God gave us right there in my yard even, and they were amazing. And over time, my body started healing. And later on, I got into aromatherapy too. So I'm also a professional aromatherapist. But the amazing thing is that when you realize that God put the plants on the earth for us, for our food and for our medicine. And by the way, our food is our medicine too. We've all heard that saying. It's amazing what your body can do to heal itself if we're supporting it the right way. And everybody can do this. But my husband and I, we haven't taken any over-the-counter drugs or prescription drugs in probably 12-ish years now, maybe more. So it's been an amazing thing. But yeah, I love teaching people these days how to create their customized home apothecaries that's not generic, it's what you need. And literally, I have recipes for everything you can find in the drugstore at this point.
Cool, cool. How many of your herbs, excuse me, how many of your herbs do you grow yourself in your garden?
Goodness. Well, the last time I counted, and that was about 4 years ago, and I've added many medicinal since then. I was over 120 that we either cultivate or forage in our area, and so I'm sure I don't know, I was maybe even say 130, 150,
Wow.
but there's a lot of them. But the thing is you don't, you know, you we. The average person doesn't need all those. I'm an herbalist. I do sometimes bring people out to the gardens and we walk through, and I do YouTube videos and things. And I just love the plants. But the fact of the matter is, you can grow just some of your typical, beautiful culinary herbs that most people grow anyway if you're a gardener, and they have medicinal qualities. If you know how to use these, you've got an apothecary right there at your fingertips, and it's really exciting.
Cool. Well, why don't we let's go ahead and jump in and talk about a couple of the herbs that we can grow in our own home, and maybe mention some of the medicinal benefits that we have to those. And I know you've got a couple of them. We're going to talk about chamomile and we're going to talk about garlic, both of
Yeah.
which I grow.
I do too. I love them both. All right, so the first herb we're going to talk about is German chamomile, and this is Matricaria recitata. That's the Latin name, and it's a member of the aster family. And most people are very familiar with chamomile as a calming, relaxing herbal tea or a plant to use, just to relax. But it's got a lot more capabilities than that. So in this first slide, and I've got two slides for chamomile and two slides for garlic, which we'll talk about next. But we're going to talk about some of the medicinal actions that chamomile has. So energetically, it's cooling and it's drying. And when you know that a plant is cooling or warming, for example, then this is going to inform your choices about how you might use that herb for a condition like a fever, for example. So chamomile would be one you could actually use to help cool a really hot fever. And it's amazing for this. It's very safe for children. It's safe for elders. It's a wonderful plant, but it isn't aromatic, and that means it does contain essential oils. You can make a hydrosol from German chamomile right in your kitchen. It's really easy and so fun. It's a relaxing nervine, which it affects the nervous system. It's a carminative, which means it helps with the digestive system. It's a mild sedative as well. So if you've got pains going on, it can actually be helpful for the pain response in that regard. It's also antispasmodic. If you have a baby with colic, for example, and you are a nursing mom, it's really helpful to drink a cup of chamomile tea, a few minutes before, 30 minutes or so before you nurse. The baby's probably going to have a better experience. It's a very skin healing herb, and it's anti-inflammatory as well. And then I just want to talk about some of the practical uses here in the next slide. So here are some things you can do with chamomile. If you have a child, or if you're an adult who struggles with ADHD or just general lack of focus, using chamomile as a way to help with the concentration is really helpful. I know that seems counterintuitive because it's a relaxing herb and you drink the tea and you just kind of, you just relax. Well, that actually helps your brain to focus. And you can use the essential oil as well in a diffuser. And that's one of the things I love doing with when I'm working with children in this regard. It's helpful for irritability. If you've got a little toddler who is overtired and they're just crying and won't go to sleep, give them a little cup of chamomile, and it's really helpful. Restlessness, insomnia. For many, many people, German chamomile is a very gentle sleep aid. There are other herbs that are heavier duty that you could use if you have sleep problems, but for many, German chamomile is enough. It's excellent if you've got gas and bloating, or you want to just help your digestive system along because it calms things down. It's super helpful for hot, wet fevers. This is one of those herbs where if you've got a very high temperature and you need to bring it down, then it's a good herb to use. Generally speaking, we don't like to cover fevers with medications because the fever response in our body has a purpose. So you, as much as you possibly can, you want to let that fever run its course, but you might need a little herbal help, and German chamomile is helpful for that kind of a fever. Cold and flu symptoms, really nice and helpful for a cold and flu. Our immune system is working really hard when we have a cold or a flu or we're sick. Well, chamomile, because it supports the nervous system, can actually be helpful for also supporting the immune system too, because it gives our bodies a little bit of a break. It's wonderful for teething babies. I've already talked about colic. And I just want to talk about the pain thing here with like teething is painful. There's a link between the pain response and the stress response, and they play off of each other. When you're very, very stressed out, the pain you feel, whatever it is worse. And when you feel pain, then you have a stress response in the body. So chamomile can help break that. It's wonderful for burns and skin healing. If you've got a wound or a scar, try some chamomile in conjunction with some other herbs especially. It's really helpful. I like to use it as an eye wash for conjunctivitis. And it's really nice, if you don't want to wash your eyes with a little eye cup, you can actually put it in a compress form and hold it onto your eye. It's very, very helpful. We had goats who had a bout of conjunctivitis run through, and I made a strong tea with chamomile and golden seal, and the infections went away within literally like hours. It's just amazing. And then rashes. German chamomile is helpful if you suffer from eczema or hives, things like that, the itchies. So,
Well,
and
and
then
the nice thing about chamomile is it's so easy to grow too. So when you and I apologize for my lack of knowledge, but when is the do you use it mostly as a fresh herb in in your teas and things like that, or do you also make them into tinctures, or how do you most commonly use chamomile?
yeah, so to prepare chamomile, it's really broad. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. I like to use it fresh when it's available fresh. It's really just it tastes beautiful.
Mm,
So it's a
for
wonderful.
sure.
Yeah, and then I do dry a bunch of it every single year. I try to dry enough, I try to dry enough to get me through till the next, year. And we're in a very cold area here, so our growing season's a little short. And I do like to sometimes add it to vinegar acetums. It's helpful in that regard for people who can't or don't want to take alcohol. Chamomile does excellent in glycerin, vegetable glycerin that's food grade, and and it tastes sweet. Glycerin is a sweet solvent, so that's really nice for kids. And yeah, I'm sure there's others I haven't talked about here, but yeah, fresh, dried, tinctured. I really like it. I like tinctures myself because they're just so quick and easy. But
Right.
chamomile is one of those herbs you can just do a lot with.
Well, good, good. Thank you. We also wanted to talk a little bit about garlic, which garlic is one of my favorite vegetables to grow. I guess I never, this isn't true because my wife, every time my wife gets a sore throat, she has this honey and garlic mixture that she does. But so I did know there was some medicinal benefit to it, but it's always felt like a culinary herb to me. So tell me a little bit about the medicinal benefits of garlic.
Okay. Yeah, garlic is Allium sativum, is the Latin name of it, and it's from the family Alliaceae. And of course, we know that we use the bulb and sometimes the scapes of garlic. And yes, it's a wonderful culinary herb. And I have to say, if I had to choose any medicinal herb to grow, well, there'd be a lot of them, but garlic has so many uses that I think everybody should be growing this plant. Energetically, it's warming and drying. And so we can talk about fevers with this one too, because you're going to be using garlic differently than you would use you would use chamomile for fevers. So this is kind of an interesting little thing that we'll get to. Garlic is a wonderful circulatory stimulant. It's dispersive, so it helps to warm the peripheral parts of your body, like your fingertips. If you suffer from cold fingers, cold feet, in consuming a lot of garlic can be helpful. It is a blood thinner, so you need to be a little bit careful if you're on blood thinning medications already, and just maybe use it as an herb or talk to your doctor about how much to take or how much to eat, because that's one of the cautions. Garlic is a balancing herb, and in the herbal world, we call these herbs alteratives. And what they do is they get into the body and they do what needs to be done. So just to go back to how garlic helps with the heart, as an alternative herb, garlic can help with high blood pressure and low blood pressure. It tends to get in there and just balance the cardiovascular system beautifully. It's pretty amazing. As a diaphoretic, which means that's an herb that we use for fevers, garlic, you would not want to use on a person with a really hot fever like chamomile, okay? Garlic would be used and better served on a person who's got one of those rather low grade temperatures that's uncomfortable, that's just not getting high enough to do what it needs to do. Garlic, if you take it for that kind of a fever, what it'll do is it'll speed up the fever response. It heats the body from the inside out, and it just helps that fever to break more quickly. So you can see when you know what to do with these these common plants. It's amazing. It's another digestive herb, very, very helpful for the digestive system. It's an antimicrobial, a really broad-based one. Garlic can kill a lot of things like bacteria and fungus and worms. It's very, very broad-based. It's an immunomodulating herb too. This goes along with it being a balancing herb. So an immunomodulating herb is one that balances your immune system. So instead of overstimulating it or understimulating it like some herbs will do, it modulates it or balances it. So it helps your immune system do what it's supposed to do. And then it's a tonic. And a tonic herb is one that you can actually take every single day in, small amounts to do what you want it to do. So garlic is really, really amazing. And then here are some practical uses. And I just kind of alluded to some of these, but it's really excellent for people who suffer from hypertension. In fact, I take garlic every single day to manage my blood pressure naturally. It's very helpful. I do that in conjunction with a lot of other things too, like, lifestyle things and such. But garlic's really helpful. If you have a bacterial infection, take your garlic. If you have a fungal infection, take your garlic. So, and that would go for even athlete's foot and ringworm, things like that. Consuming garlic internally can really be helpful, especially if you're using remedies like tea tree essential oil. You've got the topical going on and you've got the internal going on. Garlic can help to balance cholesterol levels. It's really wonderful for cold and flu. Like Rick, you just mentioned that your wife uses garlic and honey. That's excellent. That's a really good remedy. Congestion in the bronchial passages, it can help thin the mucus. It's really helpful for overall gut health because it tends to kill off the bad yeast and bacteria. Like if you've got a candida overgrowth in your gut, or maybe you suffer from yeast infections, garlic is really helpful taken internally. It's wonderful for helping with diarrhea. We just mentioned worms a little bit there. Now, insulin resistance. Garlic is being studied right now and has been found to help with blood glucose levels. So if you're watching your blood glucose levels, and I kind of, in today's modern eating world, we probably should be in tune with that somewhat so we don't end up with, type 2 diabetes. Our modern food is terrible. But anyway, that's another subject. But it might just go ahead and help your glucose levels. And then asthma. Garlic can be really helpful for those suffering from asthma too. So it's, as you can see, like these herbs are powerful. They've got many, many uses. They're super helpful. They're easy to grow. And you can grow your own apothecary, literally.
See, and I love that. I love having more than just culinary uses for plants, and so that's really cool. So garlic again is one of those that's actually not too hard to grow. You just get it planted in the fall or early winter, and away you go. And the other advantages, garlic on top of those medicinal and culinary advantages also has some pest repelling advantages in our garden as well, which I love. I one of the cures that we always use is around our peach trees. It keeps the peach tree borers. So we'll plant some garlic around the peach trees, and that keeps those borers away. So a lot of fun stuff with garlic. So, well, Heidi, thank you. This has been fun, and I appreciate you being here. Now, everybody that's watching, this is just a little taste of what Heidi has to teach. Heidi does just a ton of wonderful instruction on herbs and how to use herbs medicinally. She barely even scratched the surface, even on these two herbs. And we hesitated as to how, we wanted to keep this format relatively short here on YouTube, but she's got a lot to offer. And this week, Heidi, why don't you tell us what's going on this week with the launch of your Ditch the Drugstore course that's happening this week. And also I'd like to talk a little bit more about the webinar that you have happening on the 18th.
Okay, yeah. So about 4 times a year, I open up enrollment for one of my courses called Ditch the Drugstore. And this is a course where it's kind of a hybrid. You can come and be live with it because I teach live, but you have all of the course materials as well. So you have access to those anytime you want. So you can take your time or you can speed through it. It's totally up to you. But what I do, my expertise is helping people figure out and plan what they actually need for their home apothecary. And then you create it. I've got over 200 recipes in this course, and they're all indexed according to, needs and complaints and ages and things like that. I'm an aromatherapist. I also teach the essential oils along with the herbalism concurrently, because you need to know how to use them safely. And that's the course. Basically, we have a graduation day, and there's giveaways, and it's a lot of fun. And then the webinar that I have for you is free. It's the 5 best herbs for your home apothecary, and these are all herbs that you can grow easily, you can find in the grocery store, and they all have medicinal values. And we just kind of did a really quick overview of garlic and chamomile, but there are others. And then this webinar comes with a free book. The book is 29 pages. It covers all the information that I'll be talking about in the webinar. Plus, I'm giving you recipes and remedies you can take away and start making right now.
That's
So
cool. That's cool. So I actually have watched the webinar, and it's super good. And so I think you'll enjoy it. So what we're going to do, guys, is we wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to kind of follow up with Heidi and get to know her a little bit better. So I have included down in the description of this video a couple of links. So we've got a link to that webinar. So she is doing that one. Today is the 16th of January. And she will be doing it on the 18th of January as well. Now, if you're watching this video outside of that time frame, just follow the link down to Heidi, because she does, like she said, she opens this up 4 times a year. And so there will be other opportunities. But that free webinar, there's a link down there for that. And then if you want to learn a little bit more about Ditch the Drugstore, that's there. And then we've also included links to all of Heidi's social media and website and everything, so that you guys can get to know her a little bit better. So I thought that this might be a little bit of an interesting change for us here on the channel. So Heidi, thank you for being here and giving us a little bit of a different perspective on what we can be using our gardens for. I love that a lot. So thank you. Anything that you've got kind of want to close out with? Anything that you would like to say before we finish up?
gosh, I hope that you guys will come visit me in my community. If you're interested in learning more about how the herbs and the plants that you're growing and that you probably have right on your property can be used medicinally, I teach a lot of that here on my YouTube channel and in my website. And yep, a lot of free stuff. And I love just teaching. I think everybody needs these skills. So,
Okay. All right. Okay, Heidi, thank you so much for being here today. Again, make sure you check out the links down in the description of this video so that you can get to know Heidi a little bit better and get signed up for that free webinar. It's got a lot of great information. The book is great. And so get signed up for that link down in the description of this video. Okay, thanks, everybody. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Heidi. Happy gardening.